All right, folks. For those that don't know me, my name's Tyler here at WardyNYM, the largest platform not directly affiliated with the Mets or SNY, and we come at you with the most consistent post-game coverage here on YouTube for the Metropolitans. And today I'm about to do something that I haven't done all that much this season, and that's pretty much about to go on a rant. Now, as I exemplify myself during said rants, I usually get pretty hot-headed. I usually swear a decent amount of the times, and I'm usually pretty loud. So, parental advisory in advance, 1. 2, please lower your volume slightly if you need to. And 3, just buckle up and strap in for the ride, as I got a lot to say. But before I get there, I want to make sure that we are both live on YouTube and on Twitter, and we are going to make sure that this is right under the Mets Twitter. There it is. Thank you so much for the donation, Yoshima. This game royally pisses me off. Yeah, that's an understatement, everybody. So again, going to give everyone a minute or so. Shout out to my great sponsors. Of course, it's SoRare MLB and BetUS. BetUS has you covered with all your sports betting needs. Make sure to check them out by clicking the link down below today. That way, you too get a 125% bonus with your first 3 deposits. Okay, now that we have a decent amount of people in here, as we're first starting to roll in, okay. Now, I'm going to be honest. Jay, how you doing? Shout out to everyone for chiming in live on a replay. Happy to have you all in here. ADRIAN HOUSER. ADRIAN HOUSER. ADRIAN fucking HOUSER. 4 or 5 days ago, the last time this man was on the mound for the Mets, putrid outing, absolutely horrendous. He's dog water. I said I've had enough of the ADRIAN HOUSER starter experiment. I know Tyler McGill is still coming back from injury. He pitched 2 shutty today in Double-A there that we saw in the minor leagues for rehab. I know Max Kranick is still working back from his rehab assignment. I know the Mets don't want to rush Christian Scott, even though at this rate, you might as well have him up sooner than later, because he's far and away a better fucking option than ADRIAN HOUSER. Folks, give me 1 second, okay? Give me 1 second, because I want to make sure I have the numbers to pull up right in front of you, because I don't have them at the moment. Give me 1 moment, everybody. 1 moment. Just give me 1 second. Those are the stats from last night's game. Let's change that. Let's put them in there. ADRIAN HOUSER. ADRIAN HOUSER. 4.1 innings of 9 hits, 6 earned run ball, 2 walks, 2 strikeouts, a 8.37 ERA. I'm sorry. David Stearns, I love you, buddy. I love the whole no-nonsense mentality with the bullpen. Let's keep the same fucking energy with this rotation. How is ADRIAN HOUSER still in this rotation? I am done. I have seen enough. Every good start ADRIAN HOUSER has had this season has been with pure luck on his side, inducing ground ball outs somehow Houdini-like, working out of jams almost every single inning. ADRIAN HOUSER, I have seen enough from you in this Mets rotation right now. Not to say you can't impact the Mets positively at all this year, but I'm done with you as a starter currently. He single-handedly lost the Mets to the game today. Yes, their offense. Yes, their core. Yes, Francisco effing Lindor was absolute dog shit again today. Pete Alonso, Mr. 200, that we're very excited. We're about to break down shortly. JD Martinez is a free swinger. We know that, and of course, he had nothing to show today when the Mets need it. That's okay. It's going to happen at times. We're going to critique the offense. Trust me. We're going to get there. But when you have a 6-0 deficit, not even halfway through the ball game, I'm going to go on a limb and assume that you're not going to win said ball game. Why? Because you're down 6 effing runs. Sorry for the intro running again, guys. Mets lose by a final score of 7-4 today. Appreciate everyone for chiming in live on our replay. I'm sorry. And I appreciate you guys greatly. Thank you for the kind words. But I'm really going to lose it today. I'm going to lose it today because you've now dropped 2 consecutive series. You're back to 500. You unveil the City Connects in the most Metsian way fashion. A Saturday cold day that all the diehards are at Citi Field. I feel so sorry for my amazing friends, those schmucks that had to witness that disaster class of a performance there at Citi Field today. And once again, with a new unveil, something exciting, the Mets can do nothing with it. Of course, Adrian Houser, Omar Narvaez is the equivalent of being put on death row before you even had a chance. You didn't even go through the trial. It's already happened. You didn't even know what was going to happen, if it's going to be a quick sentencing. Maybe you were just going to be in for a couple years. No! You're put in the effing electric chair because that's how bad of a duo they are. And I understand. Omar Narvaez does not control Adrian Houser throwing straight meatballs. Yes, Houser's location is absolutely horrendous. We're aware of that. Narvaez does nothing positively on the defensive end either. And I do find myself wondering how the game would have been if it was being called to start from someone like a Tomas Nido, or if healthy, a Francisco Alvarez, because those guys make a difference. We have talked about this. But what we've also talked about, going back to the last start, and what was it? Was it against the Dodgers? Was it for Adrian Houser when the Mets lost 10-0, if I'm not mistaken, right? And Adrian Houser is just absolutely horrendous, guys. He's brutal. This is not a man that we need to be seeing in this rotation anymore. The Mets have enough internal options. They have Joey Fuego, who's pitching to a 2.5 ERA right now in minor leagues. They have Tyler McGill, who again is building up his ramp up and rehab there with a scoreless outing. Again, he did throw a decent amount of pitches in 2 innings today. I love Tyler McGill, but I think he's most certainly better as a potential relief option than a starting option for the Mets, because he will not provide you length. He's going to give you the same problem you've been having with everyone else in this rotation. Christian Scott is the answer, and today is the first day all season that I am looking at you, David Stearns, and I'm looking at you, Steve Cohen. I love you guys. This is now the time to give Christian Scott an opportunity. If you want to give a little bit of a leash to a Max Kranick, if you want to give a little bit of a leash to a Joey Fuego, that's fine. Go ahead, do that. But if Christian Scott is not in this Mets rotation at this current rate by June, I'm going to absolutely lose my mind. Christian Scott, for those that don't know, is the Mets' top pitching prospect that we know. Yes, he gives up bombs, but he also, after giving up bombs, doesn't give up anything at all. He has one of the best strikeout rates in all the minor leagues currently. One of the best currently is also by a man with the last name Ton, who's an awesome Mets prospect there, who already looks like he needs to be moved up to high A with the way he's pitching early on this season, folks. But on a scale of 1 to 10, what is everybody's frustration level right now? Because we've lost 2 consecutive series. You're back to 500. You go on a 12-3 heater and now lose 5 of your past 6 games, where many of these effing games were winnable, beatable. It's the Cardinals. It's the Cardinals. I don't care that it's April 27th. Hear that? It's the Cardinals. I know, and trust me when I say, I understand that this Mets team is going to be a lot of Jekyll and Hyde this year. I understand that they're a roller coaster. I understand that for them to even make playoffs, you're just going to be probably a couple games above 500. They're not going to be in a position where they're going to be like, say, 90 wins. We know that is more than likely not going to happen with the Mets this year. And I also know that it's only April 27th, so I'm a glass half full guy. This is far and away so far from the end of the world or anything like that, but it doesn't mean that I can't have short-term frustration build up, especially after another horrendous performance by a starter for this Mets team that has been such a glaring hole now in this rotation. No one, and I mean no one, has been putrid on a consistent level that Adrian Houser has lollygagged his little ass out there, throwing meatballs right down the plate and realizing that, you know what? Trying to induce soft groundouts is not going to work with every team. So how do you adjust? And you know what adjustments Adrian Houser has? Absolutely none. There are 0 adjustments in his approach whatsoever. As soon that he is ultimately sold because the opposing team understands his tactics, gets on base on a great clip, that's it. There's nothing else to it. So Adrian Houser, I don't want to talk about again. I hope that 4 or 5 days from now, I'm not discussing this man still pitching and still contributing in this rotation. He does not deserve to be in this rotation right now with the way that he is pitching. What is there to justify Mr. Adrian Houser still being in this rotation? Absolutely nothing. Guys and gals, I also apologize. I'm not going to be traditional as I am with my game breakdown, especially after a loss like this. I'm certainly not going to do that. I just got to let it riff with my initial emotions after witnessing this shit show you call a ball game. And guys, I'm sorry. It just absolutely driving me up a wall with the way ADRIAN HOUSER played today. And the reason why I have the biggest gripe with ADRIAN HOUSER out of everybody is because, yes, the Mets had some significant problems with their core offense yet again today. But what they had a bigger problem with more than anything was a starter lacking depth for the how manyth time so far this season. It's been every single start, it feels like. And secondly, a starter to go out of his way and give you such a horrendous performance the way that HOUSER has. He has done this on a consistent basis, unlike any other starter in this Mets rotation. Jose Buto is still better than ADRIAN HOUSER right now. I think we can all agree there. And again, it's not a terribly high bar, but it still tells you that with what the current options are in this organization, the Mets most certainly can utilize a Joey Fuego, can give Max Crank a shot when he's healthy, can give Tyler McGill a shot when he's healthy if need be. You can go there to Christian Scott, your top prospect. You can go to Mike Vassell if you're really desperate, even though I don't see them going there anytime soon. This is why I'm breaking this all down for you all, because the Mets do have in-house options that they can choose to go with. Mets are 0-2 with JDM on the team. You hate to see it. JDM, though, if not for JD Martinez yesterday, the Mets don't even have as much offense as they did. JD Martinez was one of the lone bright spots in their loss yesterday. He looked fantastic, all things considered. He strikes out a lot, but he always has. I mean, in case you don't know JD Martinez, everybody, he's fantastic, but he also is a free swinger. You're going to get some Javi Baez-esque outings out of him, not in the sense of swinging at completely silly pitches, but just a guy that's going to swing more often than not. Think of Mod Rosario, too. He has a great eye at the plate, but at this point in his career, when he knows he's a negative on the base paths, literally, he's more of a threat to hurt your team than to help your team at first base running because of how slow he is and because of his back. He's a guy that wants to put the ball out of the park and go gap to gap when he's out there, and I commend him for that. I love JD Martinez. I cannot say enough amazing things about JD Martinez. But what I can say is a lot of major problems that went on with this Mets lineup today, folks. But let's talk about the few bright spots. The few bright spots, of course, are headlined by Brandon Nimmo that stepped up today, had himself a 2-run hit that gave the Mets their first runs in the game that we saw later on in the ballgame after they were already down 6-0. And then as we advance a little bit later on in said ballgame, Pete Alonso would do Pete Alonso things. And let's give a round of applause here briefly to Big Meat Pete, Polar Bear Pete, Pistol Pete, however you want to call the man. Pete Alonso now the 4th fastest in Metropolitan history to record 200 home runs. I shouldn't say fastest. He's just the 4th in Mets history to do so, entering elite company there with all the biggest sluggers that we have had in Mets history. So exciting. Pete Alonso in his walk here, who has definitely had, an up and down season, just like the Mets for the most part at this point, had himself a massive hit that at that point made it a 2-run ball game, but with the Mets' lack of ability to hit with runners in scoring position, grounding into double plays, and then having bases loaded in the 9th inning against the flame-throwing Helsley, just for Francisco Lindor, who had how many strikeouts today? Oh yeah, let's double check. 4 fucking strikeouts today. Pardon the French, guys. Seriously, I apologize there. Francisco Lindor with 4 strikeouts today. You know what he does? Lindor, in his 5th at-bat? Bases loaded. Bases loaded. All you needed to do was just get on base and to continue the train to roll there in the 9th. First pitch swinging to end the inning. How many times have I told every single one of you so far this season how much Francisco Lindor first pitch swinging with runners in scoring position drives me up a wall? And I love Francisco Lindor. So when he struggles, it hurts me more than most, because I am the type of guy to go out of my way to really root for him and, of course, try to uplift him. But it is, again, games like today where this man is far from in sync. And no, he's not even like the band, because he doesn't have any rhythm going. This is a Francisco Lindor that went 0 in his 4th at-bat, strikes out in a putrid at-bat where he didn't swing on clear pitches beautiful in the zone, swings on a pitch so out of the zone, realizes he has the opportunity to run down to first base because the ball gets past Wilson Contreras. Lindor gets to first base, thinks he's safe after a throwing error by Wilson Contreras, but what does Francisco Lindor do? Francisco Lindor decides to run directly out of the runner's path onto the green when he had all the room in the world not to do that. He purposely did that to a degree, obviously, to try to throw off Contreras from throwing to Goldschmidt. But where he failed was the fact that he didn't even run at all there in the dirt down the first baseline. He ran completely in the grass. So Francisco Lindor, again, it is yet another game where this man is single-handedly negatively impacting this Mets offense like no tomorrow. If we take away the awesome game he had against let's keep it a buck, a depleted Giants bullpen and a rushed bullpen game that was exciting, but let's not forget the context of that. We come to the fact of, okay, Francisco Lindor still very much so has a lot of his same struggles. We saw that yet on the forefront again today. I love you, Lindor, but there is no justifying, there is nothing to defend when you're coming out of your way and having an over 5 performance, the golden sombrero, and then you pop out with the first pitch that you see in the 9th inning. There's nothing to justify that at all. And that is why I lose my mind, folks. That is why when I get hot-headed, it's because of stuff like that. There's nothing to justify Francisco Lindor ever fathoming, ever thinking it makes any sense in the world to swing first pitch, let alone ever, but especially runners in scoring position in a spot like that. With bases loaded, with 2 out, the game is on the line, Francisco. The game is on the effing line. And you had all the time in the world, yet you decide, okay, let's go first pitch swinging for a pop-up. I don't care. The argument's, Francisco probably felt that was the best pitch he was going to see. It doesn't matter when you're not locked in, and Lindor still is not locked in consistently enough. Lindor is the type, if you throw him 5 95-mile-per-hour fastballs right down the pipe, he's going to foul off at least half of them. That is the kind of Francisco Lindor that we are currently dealing with, especially from the left side of the plate. He is a low ball swinger, as is anything middle to up in the zone. He has been completely overmatched. And this is once again a Francisco Lindor that continues to have the same exact struggles that we have seen week in and week out this season. I love Lindor. It's been awesome to see the breakout game in San Fran. It's been awesome to see the moments he's had prior to that, including a solid series against the Dodgers. But what is not awesome is the right now. That is all that matters. And a 162 season with this having short shelf life, knowing the Mets play again tomorrow. So this game, again, is not going to matter to a lot of Mets fans 24 hours from now. So in the short term, Francisco Lindor, cut the shit. I am so tired, everybody. I am beyond fed up watching the laziness that we see with these kind of at-bats. There is nothing to justify it. And the same thing goes with my man, Pete Alonso. I love you, Pete. Shout out to you with the Mr. 200th home run of the season. That's fantastic. But outside of that, Pete, again, you have lackadaisical at-bats that we see left and right. And as you look at the Mets offense as a whole, let me share with you all here in a second, guys. If you're just chiming in live on a replay, happy to have you all in here, folks, as a breakdown the latest in Mets land as they falter and drop their second consecutive series, this time by a final score of 7-4. Again, Adrian HOUSER, more like Adrian paid in my ass. Adrian gives up, again, 6 earned runs over 4.1 innings pitched. That is how putrid of a starter he currently is in this Mets rotation. And for the Mets here on the offensive end, again, the game was over right as that happened, folks. The odds of the Mets coming back, again, even with the great rallies that they have had, we've seen the Mets rally, and I know that I will give credit where credit's due. This is a Mets team that I honestly thought was going to roll over today and not score any runs. So the fact that they even did that was better than my initial expectation for a fan that has seen the Mets through in and through out having major struggles when they're down early. But when Adrian HOUSER gives up 6 runs, you already know you're in a massive hole. Then you add in the lack of offense because, again, you have a core that has been very much out of sync so far this year. They're not at all in unison. They're very Jekyll and Hyde. Brandon Nimmo goes 2 for 4 to you today, including the awesome the 2-run single that we saw there from Brandon Nimmo. He's now batting .213 with a .713 OPS on the season. Francisco Lindor now gets back to below the Mendoza line, 0 for 5 with 4 strikeouts. Just disgusting performance today, Lindor. I'll always love you. Doesn't change the fact that this is putrid. 198 average and a 626 OPS. Tommy Pham said Lindor was the laziest player in the world. Even I know that's not true. Pham said a lot to the New York Post last year, but that's not one of those things. Unless you could find the quote, then you would have proved me wrong. Pete Alonso, 1 for 4, with, of course, the massive 2-run home run. Alonso's now batting .252 with an .840 OPS on the season. JD Martinez, 1 for 4 today, .375 average, .875 OPS. I'm taking that every day of the week throughout my first 2 games there. DJ Stewart, 1 for 2, had 2 walks. Something that is kind of getting slept on with DJ Stewart's game is his strong eye at the plate, everybody. I'm fairly impressed with DJ Stewart's ability to get on base with his eye, inducing those walks the way that he has. JD Martinez did have 3 strikeouts today because, again, he's a free swinger. You're going to see plenty of strikeouts with JD Martinez this year, and that's as expected if you know who he is and you know his game. DJ, though, again, is now at a 200 average, .827 OPS, our little Kyle Schwarber. Then we see Jeff McNeil 0 for 4 today. McNeil did not have good at-bats as much today. Also got screwed on some calls over the past number of days, so bear that in mind. 244 average, .672 OPS. He was all the way up to almost 280 just a couple days ago, so McNeil will get there. Just going to take a little bit more time. Tyrone Taylor, 1 for 4 today with a run scored, a .321 average and an .842 OPS. Brett Beatty, 0 for 1 today with a run scored and a .253 average and a .626 OPS. Mark Vientos was 1 for 2. Vientos had himself a single there in the 9th inning. Marky V was called up today as Sterling Marte, unfortunately, is on the bereavement list because of something going on in his family. So sending prayers to Marte's way. I mean, he's went through so much in recent years, between the passing of his previous wife to also his grandmother, who was basically his mother growing up, and how he was raised, passing over the past 2 years. Marte's not having fun at the moment, with family stuff, and I'm so sorry to hear that. So condolences and prayers for whatever's happening there in the Marte family. But Mark Vientos gets the interesting call-up, and as I did a video on it earlier today, you have to wonder, why did the Mets call up Mark Vientos in a stint that may only last a couple days? And this is really to kind of see what you have in the interim, and this also shows the Mets viewpoint on Mark Vientos as an MLB caliber player right now, just not a guy that they have faith in to really be an everyday, and because of that, they don't want to hurt his potential growth by having him platoon for a significant period of time, which they've done in years past. So it'll be interesting to see if they continue that, if he stays on the roster once Marte's back, or if he's sent down right away, which obviously is looking that way until something suggests otherwise. So Vientos again with the hit there, his first game of the season. Omar Narvaez does nothing for you because of course he doesn't. 176 average with a 457 OPS. Tomas Nino didn't do anything offensively there too, but again, he's not going to be a stud every night like we just saw the other day. 273 average and a 969 OPS there for Mr. Tomas Nino. And as we look further here, folks, on the pitching side, continue to let me know your thoughts in live chat, everybody. Happy to have you all on here. Smash a like and subscribe button. Really does mean a lot. Help us get to 150 likes by the end of the live show at some point. Really does mean plenty here, and thank you all so much in advance, everybody. And continue to let me know your frustration level, where you guys are at when it comes to not only evaluating their struggles on the offensive end with their core, but also on the pitching end. And there's one positive that we can take from today's game, aside from Pete Alonso being Mr. 200, we can emphasize the Mets bullpen once again getting the job done for the most part. We see Josh Walker again, the southpaw, who has been called up over the past couple days, have himself another scoreless outing, 1.1 shutty with the 1 strikeout. Then we see Daniel Nunez, who was called up today as a transaction move for Drew Smith, who was put on the 15-day IL with shoulder inflammation. Hopefully Drew Flow is fine. Smith, who has struggled in his last couple outings, you have to wonder if the shoulder goes in hand with that. The IL stint is retroactive to April 24th, so that's a good thing. He won't be out a terrible amount of time. Brooks Raley, of course, is still on his IL stint currently. He's probably halfway through that at this point or close to. But Nunez, who was with the Mets already earlier this season, sent down, comes back up, and he has himself a fine outing for the Mets today. Scoreless inning with a walk and 3 strikeouts, 3 ERAs so far in the season for Daniel, which is solid. Jake Diekman, again, known for the walks at times, that goes to bite him here in 1.1 innings, allows 1 earned run on 1 hit, 1 walk, and 1 strikeout. 3.86 ERA. Not that it mattered because, again, the Mets wouldn't score beyond 4 runs, but the Cardinals add some insurance there later on the ball game. And Sean Reed-Foley, who looked fantastic in yesterday's loss for the Mets, looks fantastic yet again today for them, going 1 scoreless inning with 2 strikeouts with a 0 ERA so far on the season. Frustrated with you loving Lindor, loving Lindor? I can love Lindor because of how overall talented he is, the same way I can also call his ass out when he's not playing well the way that he isn't right now. He is not playing well whatsoever. I hope you guys understand two things can be true. You can love players on your roster and still be incredibly frustrated with them. That's exactly why I'm frustrated with them. If I didn't have an expectation or appreciation for these players, I wouldn't be as emotionally attached and as, outgoing with my emotions as I am with not only Francisco Lindor, with Pete Alonso, with others. It's because of how passionate I am as a fan and how much I thoroughly enjoy these guys when they're right. Lindor is an uber talented player. We all know that. He's just not playing consistent baseball right now. And now we've seen multiple games where he has most certainly been a thorn in the Mets' side and has been anything but a contributor to them on the offensive end. Today was yet again another example where you wonder, how would the offense be today? Francisco Lindor was never there in that 2-hole, and if he was instead, say, batting deeper in the order, should you start to consider moving Francisco Lindor in the order? Him without Marte, I think definitely hurt him today. Marte's been thriving there in the 2 spot, and I know that thankfully we're not losing Marte due to injury, but we are still losing Marte due to something right now, and in the meantime, not having Marte certainly hurts, and Lindor back in the 2-hole, it's not looking good. It certainly isn't. And Lindor, of course, outside of that Giants game, has had some really bad games this season. We all know that. I have no problem personally with moving Francisco Lindor down in the order. That's something that I like. That really doesn't change much for me, especially because Lindor hasn't done a crazy lot this season to say and justify, hey, he should stay here. So I think absolutely, if you wanted to go the lengths of even moving Alonso either up to the 2-hole, which again, that's kind of crazy. I'll say that much. But either say putting Tyrone Taylor in the 2 spot as basically another leadoff option for you after Brandon Nimmo, and then you get to Pete Alonso batting 3rd, JD Martinez batting 4th, maybe having DJ Stewart or Francisco Lindor batting 5th, figure out between the 2. I think Lindor lowered in the lineup would help him tremendously with the lack of pressure as well. Again, I know that you don't want to have all these excuses for a $341 million man, but for the sake of wanting the Mets to play better and also trying to reach in the middle with fans that really have big gripes with Lindor, I feel like it does make it's a justified reason to say, hey, at minimum, they should really consider moving him out of the top of the order and move him either to the heart or to the bottom of the order. Not complete bottom, obviously, but anywhere from, basically anywhere from 4 through 6, I think you can absolutely justify moving Francisco Lindor in. Will the Mets do it? More than likely, no, but it's absolutely something that they should consider doing that I have to wonder if they have and to what degree. But if we haven't spoken on already, everybody, remember Mr. Nate Lavender that we all loved and drooled over in spring training because he had tremendous spring outings and just missed the Mets bullpen on cracking it? Well, unfortunately, our Mr. Nate Lavender is going to be without any contribution here in the Mets organization for the rest of the season because he had Tommy John surgery, or is about to have Tommy John surgery. So Nate Lavender, the southpaw that was also crafty in spring training that we were excited to see more of in the regular season, unfortunately no more. And this one kind of gut punches me the same way that last season our flamethrower in the pen, I don't know why I'm blanking on the gentleman's name. You guys know who I'm talking about. There's a flamethrower in the Mets organization that went down over the past year because of TJ as well. And that was a bummer for the bullpen for sure. So Nate Lavender is unfortunately the latest TJ victim. I wish him a speedy recovery as well. You hate to see that. I'm trying to think though, what is the player's name that I'm blanking on so much right now? Tall, big guy, flamethrower. Again, he's been out for the past year with injury now. A lot of people have asked me my thoughts on him heading into the season. I said he's not going to be available for a while, so I got nothing. Shoot, why am I blanking on his name? Can someone help me out in the chat here? Come on, guys. Someone's going to have his name. It just isn't me right now because I'm blanking. Come on, somebody. Someone's got to give it to me. Please. I'm hung up. I cannot continue the segment until we find the answer. Come on, guys. He's in the organization. He hasn't pitched in the bigs a lot. He's really just gotten a taste over the past year, and he's finally stood out. And I'm just blanking so heavily on the name. It is unbelievable at the moment. Let's see if one of you guys or gals can help me. Yes, Montez Dioca. Yes. Thank you. I think it's Montez Dioca, right? I think or it's not Montez Oca. I think, Montez Dioca. Yeah. Yep. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Sorry that took forever, but I was brain farting big time. Wardy, call Steve. I don't have Steve's number, Steven, or else I would. It's April. We are 500 people talking about trading Alonso. Meet Mets fandom, Tyler. Step on down. You know, these are the same Mets fans that want Alonso trade in the offseason. It doesn't matter. The same can be true in the sense where he's not going to be dealt anytime soon. Anyone that thinks Alonso is, I got a bridge to sell you because it's not happening right now. The Mets need to be significantly out of the playoff picture for them to even consider the idea by the deadline, and we're far from that even happening. So, not going to happen. That's to say the least. But, guys, you know, we talked about it a lot in previous content on the channel, and starting tomorrow, we have a massive giveaway coming on the channel with our amazing friends and our awesome sponsor at HOUSER MLB. For those that don't know HOUSER MLB, everybody, it is the best MLB fantasy game out there. As I really love to reference it, guys, if you love MLB The Show, especially if you guys understand the basics of building your own team, being your own GM, being your own coach, then lock in because this game is for you. HOUSER MLB gives you the ability to collect, buy, sell, and trade for real dollars on demand on their marketplace, in their app, or on their computer at your fingertips with their awesome HOUSER MLB game. You collect cards to build your team, and again, you can sell these cards for real dollars. Some of them get very expensive too based on the rarity of them, because the rarity varies, and how you get more rare cards can not only be from buying in the marketplace, but can also be by winning in exclusive tournaments. There are weekly tournaments that are played that you can construct your team and get your whole roster figured out, and how those players in Major League Baseball actually perform during that 4 or 5 day time is how you will perform and how many points you get for your team to see how you do in these weekly tournaments. We have done these tournaments together over the past year on the channel. It's been so much fun. We've been doing awesome giveaways. We did jersey giveaways with them last year. This year, starting Monday as we get into next week, we're going to be doing Mets ticket giveaways, where all you have to do is, again, sign up with our great friends at HOUSER MLB. So if you haven't already, make sure to check out the game today by clicking the link down below to sign up today. Again, guys, you can build an all Mets roster if you would like. You can build a roster of whatever MLB players currently active out there that you would wish for. And of course, again, you can buy, sell, or trade with your friends. You can be your own GM, play against your friends in weekly tournaments, play against people across the world for that matter, and have a chance to win cash prizes, tickets, jerseys, everything in between. HOUSER MLB has you covered when it comes to all things MLB fantasy. I mean, look, the tournaments are fun when you're playing fantasy with your bros, but nothing beats HOUSER MLB with the way that they approach this game at your fingertips in the app, which is so easy to utilize and work out your teams on a week-by-week basis. And of course, to play with your friends and play with others is what it's all about. And even for my card collectors too, guys, again, these are on the blockchains, right? This is on the blockchain technically. So these are unique cards to you, which is why, again, you can buy, sell, and trade for real dollars on demand. So make sure to check them out today, guys. We'll be talking about them plenty this season, but especially with our first giveaways, where 4 winners will be chosen at the end of next week. And all you got to do to enter is to sign up by, again, signing up with HOUSER MLB down below. And thank you all so much in advance for doing that. By show of hands, folks, if we have anybody in the live chat that has actually utilized HOUSER MLB in the chat, please let me know in the chat. I'd greatly appreciate it. People that are watching this on replay, let me know down below too. I'm just curious because last year we were with HOUSER MLB for a number of months and we had a lot of fun and great success with them. And I had hundreds of you guys interact. I'm pretty sure we had at least 1,000 total viewers of mine that I know were interacting and playing HOUSER MLB one way or another, whether it was they were playing with me in tournaments or they were just playing on their own and they signed up through my link. Whatever it was, I know that we got great traction last year, so I'm just curious by a show of hands, if anybody in the chat, have any of you guys previously played HOUSER MLB either because of me, that you saw it promoted here on the channel, or just because you knew about it in general? Let me know. Would love to hear it, guys. And people down below on replay, same applies. As we're breaking down the latest, as again, the Mets falter and drop a second consecutive series. This time, 7-4 is your final there. No name, awesome. Appreciate that. Use BetUS to help me build my HOUSER team. I appreciate that, Yuki. That really does mean a lot if you're doing that. And HOUSER is fun. That's another thing I will say. That's one of those. What I've loved so much, I'm very grateful for, everybody, is that a lot of the sponsors that we've had on the channel is because of the fact that I really like the product. You know, I don't just accept deals or do anything like that with any company. Obviously, that there are lines that need to be met, of course, where it makes sense for promoting. And HOUSER MLB is honestly probably one of the best products I've ever utilized. Same thing with BetUS, obviously, just because of sports betting, and that's such a hot commodity. I know not a lot of people love it at the same time, but for my people that know how to bet responsibly, you love getting in on the action, and you love your promo codes. Who doesn't? Same applies here with SORA MLB, as we're going to be doing promos with them every single week on the channel for the foreseeable future, and they're just such a fun, interactive game that I'm really excited to do with you guys. It's a way for me to interact with you guys on a platform that isn't YouTube, so that's another fun aspect to it that I certainly enjoy. It's basically Diamond Dynasty from MLB. Exactly. Yes. You would use my sponsors if you were of age. That's fair. I appreciate that, Elix. Thank you so much. Lenore could probably make a good pretzel vendor. I mean, I'm sure he can make some badass pretzels if we're being straight here. How can you scout based on saying Lindor is talented when he is batting 170 and not playing smart baseball, Robbie? Because all you need to do is look at his entire career to this point, and then you, Robbie, do me a favor, my friend. Do me a favor. Go back and just look at Francisco Lindor's entire career, and you let me know if he's a good player or not. I think let's start there. Just because you're having a really, really bad month doesn't mean you're a bad player. So, again, let's start there. There are multiple problems in regarding the Mets. Yes, for sure. For sure. And guys, I'm very excited to announce, I said it yesterday, I'll say it again, live callers are coming back on the channel. We will be taking live callers next week. Win, lose, draw. We will make sure that they're finally getting in there and finally happening, because I've been wanting to for the longest time. Same thing with watch parties. Haven't gotten the ball rolling yet, but we will be doing that soon. Unfortunately, just to give you guys, a little bit of an insight as to what the hiccup is that for the watch parties, I have a scoreboard that is currently being worked on, a program scoreboard specialized for the channel. And the issue is that the person I'm working with that works on said scoreboard is very, very backed up with other clients at the moment. So that scoreboard is not going to get here probably for, I'd imagine, at least another month. So in the meantime, we're working around that to make sure I just get everything set up for you guys and we can do watch parties. And another thing, watch parties will not be hosted by just me. It'll be hosted by other awesome, amazing people in the community that I'm excited to share with you this season. So be on the lookout for it, everybody. Sign up through your link, 100% Mari. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. What do you think? Pete will get loud boos eventually? Like everyone else, yes. The standing nose I absolutely love, but I also know that Mets fans are very impatient. And regardless on what I want or prefer, Mets fans, fellow fans are going to do their thing, especially as they attend ball games. Every player gets booed at some point of the season. It always happens. It might not be to a high magnitude, but it does definitely happen. Tyler was watching on Twitter. At what point do we get nervous about all these Lindor swing and misses? I mean, I would say on my personal nervousness scale of Lindor at the moment with like his overall play, I'm at a 3.5. Like I'm not terribly concerned for Lindor as a whole, but it's been brutal with his lack of true eye at the plate from the left side versus the right side, one, but just how much Lindor is, again, heavily reliant on those low pitches in the zone. And, again, anything middle and then up, he doesn't eat up, at least not so far this season. That's a big problem we've been having. This is a Lindor, when he's at his best, he knows how to command that zone. He knows how to fight off those high fastballs, and he knows, again, how to keep a quality at bat. This Lindor right now is anything but that. He's too Jekyll and Hyde. One night he's looking fantastic, the next night he's a complete shell of himself like today. And you cannot have that much of a gap in your game for a guy that's been as productive as you've been so far in your career. The reason why we freak out and have our reactions is because of how good Francisco Lindor has been throughout his career. And that's why he's getting paid the big bucks. Again, you can say he's overpaid all you want. That's fine. I don't care. But what's true at the end of the day is that you need to be performing at a more consistent basis than what you're currently doing. And that's where the bigger gripes with Lindor, with at times Alonso, obviously, with I'm sure it won't be long before we're saying this about JD Martinez for many Mets fans and others. That's just how it works. Dave, my man, what about Calvin Ziegler, brother? Calvin Ziegler is unfortunately out for the year with injury again, which is another heartbreaker. Calvin Ziegler, for those that don't know, just got back from significant injuries the past year, and now he's out again in the minor leagues. Not fun. He was, I believe, a second-round pick by the Mets a couple of years ago now. Very unfortunate to see that. Let's see. It's hard to hit against pitchers when you're down 6-0. 100%. 100%. Again, ADRIAN HOUSER is the biggest reason why the Mets lost today. No one was a bigger problem than ADRIAN HOUSER. Ian, exactly. You're on the same wavelength as me. Yes, I completely agree. It's so hard watching him struggle like this. Huge fan of his, but it's getting frustrating. Frustrating is getting an understatement. Again, this is not the Lindor that we know and love and covet. This is, again, Lindor, when he's right, is far more consistent than this. Even when he's not putting the ball in play consistently, he's at least getting on base, and he's doing the little things. We're not getting that, and that's the problem, and that needs to change. It certainly does. But Mets fans, baseball fans, everybody, thank you all so much for watching live on a replay. That is going to do it for the show today, folks, as again, the Mets lose by a final score of 7-4. Post-game interview, Lindor says he wants to go back to Cleveland. Oh, yes, I'm sure, Ansel. Yeah, go ahead, by all means. I think that's you wanting him more to go back to Cleveland than anything else. But guys, that's going to do it for me. Frustrating game, frustrating one that I had to let out some profanity and get, calm myself. It's fun. I'm sure you guys see it. You see me go through all my wave of emotions together. You see the ramp up, you see the build up, you see it happen, you see the extrovertness, the outgoingness with the emotions, and then it stops and I calm down a little bit. I appreciate going through this roller coaster with you guys because it makes me feel a lot more sane than what I currently am. If we're going to go through a roller coaster season, folks, we might as well go through it together as we always do. So thank you all so much for the support. Stay tuned as we'll be back live tomorrow for post-game coverage. Hopefully, as the Mets can try to salvage a series for a second straight series. They shouldn't have to do it against the St. Louis Cardinals, but unfortunately that is our reality. So hopefully we find ourselves with the dub tomorrow in a positive discussion, a better one than now. But until then, have a great rest of your night, day, evening, whenever you're watching this. And this is your boy Wardy signing out. Have a great one, folks, and as always,